In summary, a fixed mindset is not always a bad thing when it's used for stability rather than stagnation. A growth mindset is not always a good thing when it creates performance pressure instead of adaptation. The key is being coherent enough to know when to stabilize and when to grow. You may have noticed that there's generally two ways that someone will approach life, and that's either with a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And what those are just tools, okay, guys? They're not your personality per se, they're just the way that you approach the challenges in life. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a fixed mindset is someone who generally is going to say their past dictates their present and has a very strong influence on their future. So for them, life is more predictable, and meaning like I'll never change, I'm just that way, this sort of thinking. And you have your growth mindset who's going to be, say, like the past is full of lessons for them, but for them the most important part isn't the past, it's the present, because they know the right now, the present moment, is the place where you can change the direction of your life. So for them, they will usually say things like, I don't know it yet, meaning that they are open to change. Their future is not a rigid set of railroad tracks like a fixed mindset might be. For them, it's more open to change, more open to possibilities. So I want to go into each one a little bit, and I want to help you understand them a little further so that you will see that they're not good nor bad. They're just particular strategies that our brains will use to get us through life. So a fixed mindset is your brain trying to protect you. It's a protective strategy. And that usually stems from maybe some sort of painful or embarrassing or humiliating experience that they might have had. And of course, you don't want to repeat that stuff. So what's your brain do? It tries its best to limit uncertainty in your life so that you could have that stability, that safety. Because what it's trying to do is just protect you from those things. And at the cost of that safety is flexibility. So that's why it seems like a fixed mindset person is going to be really stubborn and stuck in their ways, because for them, that uncertainty is a risk and it's scary. Another thing to notice with a fixed mindset person would be that their stress narrows their attention. They'll notice fewer opportunities than there really are. So for them, in their body, physically, what it might feel like is they've got to hold the line. You know, there might be some tension. They're like bracing for impact. Their breathing may be shallower. And these are all, again, if you know anything about anatomy and physiology, you will know that these are protective mechanisms that our body will implement. And because they're under this fixed mindset, they tend to overthink or hesitate or rush decisions or repeat a pattern that they said that they want to stop doing or avoid new situations. But what I'm hoping that you'll understand is that it doesn't mean that they're not trying. They are trying. It's just that they are within these invisible boundaries that their system is putting up to try to keep them safe. So now that we've discussed some of the, maybe you would call them negative aspects of it, let me go over some of the positives. So when is fixed mindset a good thing? Well, it would be good when things are crazy and you need some stability. You need to conserve that energy. You need to protect your identity in times of overwhelming stress. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, when do you need consistency in your life? Well, maybe you're following a routine, a workout plan. You're trying to build a new habit, or maybe you're recovering from something. Or you need to put some boundaries on a relationship or a behavior or something like this. You need stability. You need to have that structured form. You need to have those boundaries for that safety, conserve your energy, whatever the case is. Those would be times to have a fixed mindset. So what would be some signs that a fixed mindset is causing a negative impact on someone? Well, when you notice that your learning becomes slower, when progress seems slower, when life seems to have fewer options, opportunities, and it feels like it's narrower, and when you find that you're fearing failure more than you should, when you're making it a much bigger problem than it really is. That's when a fixed mindset starts becoming a problem for you. Because what it's doing is it's not just protecting you now it's starting to put this blockade in front of you that you have to work really hard to get around, if you can get around it at all. So we want to use the fixed mindset to create the stability, maybe the consistency, the routine of a predictable schedule, of a plan, of a habit, but we don't want to let it go too far where it starts to turn that stability into a cage where it says it's protecting you, but it's actually preventing you from breaking free. So we want to have the stability rather than stagnation or rigidity. All right, growth mindset. So what is it? A growth mindset you can think of is someone who believes that they're not trapped by their past. Oh, I was born this way. That means I'm always going to be this way. They don't think like that. For them, they believe in improving upon things, as the name dictates. Growth, okay? So what they might say in a situation, oh, that didn't work. What can I do next time for it to be successful? Or what can I learn from this? Or I don't know that yet. They think like this. They are able to update their beliefs if they need be. They try to learn from their mistakes. If they fail, they don't let it destroy them, okay? And if they do make mistakes, they tend to recover from them better because they see those mistakes as lessons to learn from rather than something that will crumble their identity. All right, so what does someone with a growth mindset feel like in their body physically? Well, generally, they're going to have calmer, steadier breathing. They're going to have more of a curiosity towards something instead of a threat. And they're overall going to be probably more relaxed than someone with a fixed mindset. When you have a growth mindset, it's a great thing to have when you are learning something new or going through a challenge that needs perseverance. And a good way to think of this is the way they think in this situation is I either won or I learned. Okay, for them, failure isn't an option. Yes, I may have failed, but that needs to be a lesson for me to learn from so that I don't repeat that failure. Okay, I know it sounds like we should always be in a growth mindset, but when is it too much? When does a growth mindset turn into a burden rather than something that can help you? Well, when you start getting performance pressure. And what is that like? Well, someone who has kind of gone overboard with the growth mindset, they tend to create a lot more pressure for themselves than they should have. They ignore rest. They always focus on I always got to be learning. I always got to be improving. I have to optimize. I have to reframe. All of these things. They may even override their emotions, feeling that that emotion that I'm having right now, I shouldn't have it. So as with fixed, it's the same with growth. You need to find that balance between things. You have to use them as tools. You can't just say that they're part of your personality. Oh, I was born with a fixed mindset personality. I'm just that kind of person. Or no, I'm not that way. Whatever you want to say. They're not personality traits, guys. They're tools for you to use. And what you want to do, your very best, is to use the present moment. Center yourself. Try to be coherent, meaning your brain, your body, your heart, your thinking, all of these things as aligned as possible. Then you can decide, do I need to be fixed or growth right now? Do I need to be stable or do I need to be adaptive? Hope this cleared things up for you. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Likes, comments, saves, whatever. Always welcome. I'm Chris. Good habits make you healthier. 我是 Chris，好的习惯让你更健康。关注我，有更多的分享。Follow me to see more.